Did you know that after 5 years in business, the majority of small business owners are still solopreneurs or tiny teams? Yet, I think a lot of people get targeted or marketed about scaling businesses are really gearing or have that message geared towards like like giant teams, systems that only support people who have 15 plus people on their teams, or strategies that really get people burned out because they don't have the support that they need. It is absolutely no wonder why a lot of us end up so burnt out, so fatigued from their own marketing and all of that. So if this feels super familiar to you, hello, welcome to the club. And today's episode is for you.
We're going to be talking about 5 must-haves for sustainable marketing for small business owners specifically. So whether you're a solopreneur or you have a delightfully tiny team, this episode is really going to be geared towards you, because the truth is that most business advice out there is geared toward larger corporations, larger teams. And to be honest, there's probably a wide open market for us to get marketed to, a small onepreneurs or onepreneur. I'm not a solo.
I think there's a word for that, solo.
I'm a twopreneur though, because I have like one little person on my team. So a truepreneur. But yeah, today's gonna be for you. So if this is your first time around here, welcome to the Growing a Deeply Rooted Business podcast. My name is Jess, your sustainable systems expert. I'm here with Rachel. I think today she wants to go by our marketing ecosystem advocate. But I like to call her a marketing mastermind. And like I said, today we're going to be talking about 5 things that you need to have a sustainable marketing strategy, sustainable and successful.
So the first thing that is super important is having a clear core message. I think this is something that, depending on what your business goal is, what if you're in a push season or a pull season or whatever that needs or whatever that is, that you just have that crystal clear, like, this is what I'm trying to give, or this is what I want you to take away from this particular message. Something that your audience can like immediately resonate with. They can repeat back to you. They can really understand what you're getting without a whole bunch of words. I think this is really important because you see so many successful businesses, successful people who are good at marketing, that you see them in all of these different platforms and they all just have this like echoing kind of like tone and like overall strategy to their message. And it's like this omnipresence, which is where that ecosystem comes in, where they're not saying 100 different things in 20 different platforms. They're saying the same thing over and over. That's super clear. That's really core to their systems, to their services, to like their values as a business. And that's why it feels so loud. That's why like when you're kind of catching a glimpse of them in all of their different platforms, you're like, okay, they're so good at what they're doing. And it makes you want to buy more from them, right?
And they're really just repeating themselves. I mean, I think one of the biggest
Exactly.
aha was when we worked with one particular launch client, and I was going to do research with her, and she had a very successful launch before we even touched her. And I went and looked at her Instagram, and I was like, wait, she's posting like the same 6 or 7 messages every single time. And like, her whole thing is like she works 15 hours a week. And I'm like, well, no wonder she works 15 hours a week, because she's not reinventing the wheel every day. She's just going with what works. And I think a lot of times as visionary entrepreneurs, we have this like pull to be creative. I know I have a pull to be creative. I want to start from new every single week. That just really creates more work for me. Like, I love to create new offers. I love to create new things. But every single time I do that, I'm creating a less sustainable business for myself. So last year I was like, we're going to focus at least for 1 quarter on one thing and not have to constantly every single week recreate the wheel.
Yeah. And especially as a solopreneur, it's this clarity, this core message isn't just like oh, this is so nice to have. It's a necessity. It's a non-negotiable in your business. You don't have the bandwidth to be creating quality, like in-depth content for 25 different messages, really making sure that your core message remains as your North Star so that you can really ensure that the people who are consuming this message get quality, value, and all of the things in between.
So speaking of reinventing the wheel, our second must-have of a sustainable marketing system is a repeatable weekly rhythm so that you're not recreating your marketing system every single week. You have a rhythm that you can plug and play into. So even when you kind of roll up to work on Monday and you're still feeling sluggish because your copy hasn't hit in, it's not like, oh my God, what should I post this week or what should I send my audience? It's okay, let's work the plan.
I think this is something that like we both see in our clients who are not marketers. There are service providers who are very, very good at their jobs that come to sit down and do their content and they're starting at 0% versus like having a system that gets you to 70% or whatever, and then you kind of finish the thing. It's really making sure that that core message is reiterated across the board kind of thing. And it's funny though, because I've had so many clients that are wellness, like in the wellness space. And like for some reason, it's hard to like reiterate their successes because there's so much nuance and so much niche. But when you scale back a lot of the niche nuance to it, the core message is always the same, and it always relates back to it's their framework, it's their special sauce or whatever that looks like. And so when you're coming down to it, it's really important to have that like rooted into a lot of your system, I guess, almost kind of thing. And this is something that like we've designed and built into this new product that we have, which is the 1 hour content system, where it's taking whatever that like removing a lot of that nuance, but like still maintaining that storyline and saying like, this is your 80%. Like we've got you to not a blank page. We've got you to a point where you can say, now let me add this week's uniqueness. Now let me add this week's special flavor kind of thing. It's super powerful because it takes you from sitting there, no coffee in your system, to okay, I'm gonna have a seat, click, 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 refine, 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 and then you're done with your marketing for the week, which is, I think, a game changer for business owners who are not intuitively marketers.
All right. So number 3 is a consistent low lift call to action. And I actually would recommend that we have 2 because we know that we have 2 types of buyers. We talk about this all the time. We have the tortoise buyer who's going to take a little bit longer in that decision-making process. And then we have a hare buyer. That's you want to take action, sign up with you, work with you right away. So I think with every piece of content that you're having, it should be leading to the next step in your business, whether you're sending an email, meeting someone on Instagram for the first time, creating a YouTube video, this podcast, you should be able to send them to the next natural step. And that could be 2 different directions, depending on what type of buyer they are, but have the direction. If it is to go book a call with me for a discovery call, then that's great. If it's to take this quiz, then that's great. And then you kind of have 2 different pathways, but you're not shifting it up all the time. Like I don't know why it is, but a ton of my clients want to have like 80 different lead. And not only is that making your business so much more complicated because it's more like funnels and things that you have to look after, when you're telling your potential client or potential buyer to go in a different direction every single time, they're just going to get ghost. Or if you keep putting new resources in front of them every single time, they're never going to take action to work with you because they think that this new resource might solve their problem for free. And then you're not going to have to work with you. So we're really like kicking ourselves in the butt when we're trying to do too much. And I think keeping it simple with 2, you can have a free offer that's eventually going to lead to your paid offer, and then having a direct path to your paid offer as well.
Yeah, I think non-negotiables for any post or any component of content is having a soft call to action and a hard call to action, like Jess said, to get you, one, your tortoises taking a tiny little step forward, or your hares giving them permission to then take action kind of thing is really, really important. And these call to actions are really going to depend on what is the purpose of your content, right? Like not everybody is in sales mode constantly. So if you're not in sales mode, like, and you're sitting there thinking, well, what the heck is my call to action? Trust building, relationship building, community development. Like these are all massive components that are really important to have strong call to actions for, so that at the end of the day, when you are ready to flip that switch into sales mode, you have built the relationships, you've built the trust, and these people are not strangers to you.
All right, number 4 is kind of protecting your mental bandwidth or your marketing willpower. We talked about this in our last episode. It's like if you're waiting to your end of your week to work on marketing your business, you're probably going to be drained and tapped out. So I highly recommend protecting a calendar block on your time and not canceling on yourself. To do that, maybe in the beginning of the week, I used to do it on Sundays. I know like we're like life first businesses, but like my family sleeps late on Sundays. So like Sunday mornings were like a quiet little time where if I went to bed early Saturday night, I could wake up and I'd have nobody slacking me, nobody, none of my clients emailing me asking for stuff. And I could kind of just focus on my business. Maybe you don't want to work on a Sunday, but maybe that looks like a Monday morning before you open your email and start to get like kind of drug into that client work.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because lately my like boost of energy is happening like in that like hour after I put the baby to sleep, where I'm like, oh my gosh, this is my first time where I know I'm not going to be interrupted for the day. Like I can like sit down and kind of like, and my clients are offline, hopefully they're not bothering me, and you get so much done. So it really is making sure that you're creating the space that you need to get things that you need to get done, but also making sure that your system supports that so that when you do sit down, you're not sitting down to 4 hours worth of work. You're sitting down to click, 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 get it done kind of thing versus, okay, now I just thought about 100 different things. I had to decide what I needed to make for dinner. I had to decide what I need to get going at the grocery store. And now you have to sit down and decide what kind of content to post. Like decision fatigue leaks everywhere in life, like from business into like personal. So really making sure you have a system set up to one, protect your like creativity, to protect your mental bandwidth and all of those areas that allow you to flourish when you do have that like moment of this is the time that I need to take advantage of.
Yeah, and this might take us on a total sidebar of a conversation, but I'm so happy that you're using that hour after he goes to sleep to work because for so long I like fought myself about like I guess coming from a 9 to 5, I was like, if I work outside of 9 to 5, then I'm not building a sustainable business or I'm not having work-life balance. But it's like for me, what I was really after was the freedom and autonomy to like make my schedule and work when I wanted to work, not just work within the confines of the 9 to 5. So for a lot of times I will wake up at 4. I'm an early riser. I'm asleep by 8 o'clock. So I do not do any late night working. But I will wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and work because it's a quiet house and I like it. Or I will, I don't set my alarm. I just naturally wake up that way. But because I go to sleep at 8 o'clock, but I will work on a Sunday or, but that means that during the week, I kind of have the bandwidth. Like yesterday, I took off most of the day to get my hair done. So this weekend, I know I'm going to work. It doesn't look good. There's no more gray. Really.
The Zoom hides it. I never
Oh,
noticed.
really going off on the sidebar here. But anyway, I think it's like one, knowing when your creativity is going to spark, when you're the most creative and trying to protect that time. And then two, making sure that you have a system to step into when you are going to partner your business so that you're not wasting that time by trying to start from scratch every time.
Yeah. And then moving into our next one, part of that system is having metrics, like really understanding what actions you're taking from a data place versus like I have a lot of business owners who have a lot of assumptions about what works in their business, but like don't have any validity to if it is or if it isn't kind of thing. And so really having the metrics to match and support your goals and your system. So when you're sitting down with your system to say, okay, I need to create my marketing post for the week, and you have understanding of what has performed in the past, what message validates your audience the most, all of those key components that you can just like take. And again, the goal for sustainable marketing is just not starting from scratch, not coming to a place and sitting down and being like, okay, now what? It's really having a system that is data driven, is super strategic, and supports your goals from a business perspective, but also from like a life perspective too. So it's really important to understand like what's going to push inquiries for leads, what's going to build connection. Jess and I have talked about this in so many episodes that the things that have changed in 2025 is that connection and trust are non-negotiables. People are no longer just on a whim buying. The state of the world isn't really allowing for people to excessively spend in a way that they're like, we're just going to have to wait and see if this, if I feel good about this or whatever. So really making sure that you're prioritizing relationships with your audience, trust building opportunities with your audience. Like, that's not fluff. That's important. And then ultimately having an understanding from your data of what's moving the needle. Because when you're like not guessing, when you've taken the guesswork out of your marketing, you can really be super strategic in saying intentional. This post is going to be like impactful, all of these areas. It saves you so much brain space when you have the numbers to look back and say, yep, that worked. Now I'm going to post it.
Yeah, and this is why systemizing your marketing becomes really, really important, because if you're not systemized or you're being inconsistent in your content, it's going to be a lot harder to see what's working because your variables are going to be inconsistent. So, you can't compare if posting on Instagram is really working if you're posting 2 times one month and 5 times the next, or if you're not in a newsletter consistently, because there's too many different variables. But once you're able to kind of work that system for a little bit and you're not changing it up every single time, you're able to kind of see your data and get that really good insight into what's working and what's not.
Yeah. Let me do a quick recap on some of these systems that are super sustainable and I consider must-have non-negotiables, especially for, what do we call it? Two-preneurs, one-preneurs. Solopreneurs are people with tiny teams. So essentially having a North Star in your message. What is your clear core message that people can always relate back to you, know that that's your unique value, and really understanding that that is the ultimate like core message that you're going to be speaking out across all areas. Next is a repeatable weekly rhythm. So again, tying back into consistency, how can you show up in a way that allows you to sit down on a Monday and get your content cranked out and done, and you can get back into your zone of genius, client work, or whatever that actually is, and not having to reinvent the wheel every single week. This is why we have created this 1 hour content system, because it has systemized and has allowed personally me to get out of 5+ hours of overthinking my content and come down into a single step where I can get 6 posts done and finalized and all of that. And the next is a clear, consistent call to action that speaks to both your tortoises and speaks to your hares. This is so important that you're kind of building that connection with all areas of your audience and not just nurturing the people that are ready to buy right now. Typical sales cycles are about 6 months. So making sure you're talking to those people until they are ready to buy is going to make that conversion a lot faster. The next key to a sustainable marketing system is having a system that protects your mental bandwidth. This is crucial for solopreneurs because you are the only one. There's no days off for you that you can say, I got a backup coming to coming to take over for me. You have to be able to really make sure that you're not fatiguing yourself in so many different ways. And one of the areas for me that caused so much fatigue was that content. Like I said, I overthink the crap out of it. And having something that has allowed me to say, like, I'm no longer draining my energy, like spinning my wheels. This is really important. So protecting your energy, because we all wear a lot of hats in our lives, and making sure that your energy is maintained is absolutely key. And then lastly is working smarter and not harder, and making sure that you have metrics that match and support your goals. So knowing exactly what is going to move the needle and kind of validating your assumptions. It's okay if you have assumptions, but making sure that you're creating opportunities to track and to measure if those assumptions are actually valid or not. So, whew,
All right. So if you found this episode helpful, make sure you like and share with a business best friend. And if you want to grab our 1 hour content creation system so that you can leverage AI and automations to crank out all your marketing in just 1 hour, you can grab it in the description below. Make sure that you like this episode, follow us so that you don't miss out. We're here every Thursday morning. And if you want to talk to us, we're at deeplyrootedbusiness.com. We love to chit chat about all things systems marketing and building an online business. And until next week,
We are rooting for you.